Hello, and welcome back to a new episode of TV and Us, a conversation show about the TV series we just can't stop talking about. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And each season we focus on a different show, reviewing it episode by episode, and we invite you to watch along with us. Right now, we are reviewing Alien Earth, and today we're on episode 2, titled Mr. October. If you haven't watched this episode yet, we're about to dive in. This is your spoiler alert. Check it out before listening to the rest of our conversation, because we're about to talk about all the things that happen in this episode. So, Sarah, do you want to kick us off with a summary for episode 2?
Sure. Tensions rise between rival corporations, a reunion takes place, and a secret is revealed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the secret is revealed in like the fastest way possible, too.
Right?
There was no build up for that at all.
No. There were 2 questions asked and someone spilling the beans. That's it.
And I thought the show would like milk that for longer, honestly. So that was a fun little version of expectation from a very endearing character. Okay, well, let's do our episode titles for the second episode. Sarah, what is yours?
Mine is Going Down.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Lots of that. My episode title is The Zoo.
Yeah, that is fair.
Okay, well, let's dive in. We really teed up in our last episode that we were so intrigued to hear how we would feel about the show after episode 2. So now the time and the moment has arrived. We are now at the end of having watched episode 2. What do we think about the show? Sarah, how is this working for you now that we've gotten 1 and 2 together, which was as designed by the show to be released together when the show premiered, and do weekly episodes following, which is such an interesting choice. But were they rewarded for that from you?
I don't know. I don't know what this show is trying to be. I think is kind of where I'm landing. If this show is just like cool alien kills, cool. I'm there. Let's do that. Like, I will follow this alien as she just like mows through people. Cool. That's interesting. We had talked about in the previous episode wanting some more like emotional depth and emotional meat. And I feel like this episode tried to give us that, but it was too quick and like not enough for me. Yep. So I feel like that person that's like, oh, I want this, but not like that. Can you do this a different way? And so I'm feeling very like picky, which is not a great thing that you want to feel. But I don't know. I'm kind of neutral about this. I enjoyed a lot of stuff with the alien. That was cool. I think a lot of the other stuff, I was like, well, okay. Like, we'll see. We'll see where they go. I'm still interested in the politics between these 2 main corporations that we've been introduced to. And I think that there's something interesting that could build from that. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where the show goes. But I'm here for more alien kills. That was cool. What about you? How did you feel after episode 2?
Better than I did after episode 1. So that's progress. But I think it's because I just turned on my caveman brain and was like, cool stuff's happening visually on the screen. There's blood, there's kills, there's creatures, and let me just enjoy the spectacle of it all and the thrill of it all. And I think that's mostly what I think makes the second episode work. There's definitely very clearly a lot more of that. There's so many set pieces in this. It's very thrilling. But I don't know. I feel like after the episode ended, it just feels a little bit empty, because going back to this point, the soapbox that we were on in the first episode, like, I want to care. I really do want to care. I want to invest in a character and I want to root for them. That's all I want. And if there are scary aliens along the way for my beloved character, even better. But I think right now we're getting like scary aliens with characters I don't really care that much about. And I think that's making it more challenging, but very exciting for like the like zero point 0.5 seconds of a thrill moment that it is. So I think I appreciate more from this episode, just their like the technical aspects. A lot of the cinematography is really great. I think a lot of the visuals are really cool. Some of the choice of just like production design, specifically with a lot of the Joe sequences, I thought was really fascinating. So, like, I almost took this in as just like visual art instead of a story, and I think this episode works as a form of like visual art. um, the story, like you mentioned, I think is trying to hit some beats that are not landing for me. Um, I don't know. And I think a lot of the things that I wanted from the previous episode around like cool, conniving corporate organizations, they like gave me a whisper of, but I wanted a full blown like commit to it. And so maybe the whisper is signs of more to come, but I think the meat of this does not work for me. All of the packaging around it, very fun. Had a great time. So yeah, that's why I think overall kind of a better time with episode 2 than episode 1, honestly.
Yeah, your expectations were lowered, and so then you were able to
That's true.
enjoy the spectacle of it all,
Yeah.
which like I felt too, when we're watching the alien do all of her cool alien things, I was like, yeah, when she's like murdering all the rich people, I was like, yeah, let's go. Like all of that was like so much fun to watch, and just like you were saying, the production design, the set design, it was so cool to be able to be both in the spaceship, which
Mm.
feels so familiar because we've watched alien movies before, and then also be in this giant, residential area, and be able to like go into these different apartments and seeing what this looks like. So I loved the contrast between those two settings, and I thought that that was really interesting to be able to explore both and see how the
Mm.
alien that we're following and these other creatures that the
So
ship
cool.
picked up look like, and how they interact with that space. So I think there's a lot of cool things there visually. But if you're coming to this wanting to see like really cool creatures, this is great. If you're looking for a deep, meaty character study, we haven't really gotten that yet. So I'm curious to see if the show is going to begin to build that, or if this is going to be mostly spectacle and creatures, which is cool. I'm not mad at that if that is where we go. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm curious to see where the show is going to end up. Creatures looked cool, so we got that going for us.
They were so cool. The spider cat eye little guy, so cool. Like, and I think what's really neat and notable about the show, which is very in line with the franchise, but it's showing us everything, every gory detail in a lot of cases, playing with what it doesn't show us, but also giving us moments where like we see that eye fully come out of the cat and grow all of its limbs. And so it's really like showing off in a lot of ways. I just zooming out for a hot sec, found it really interesting that at least on and the genre that it's categorized by Google and a lot of other places, it's horror thriller. And I remember finding that really notable and thinking about this in terms of like the different genre lenses and uh, how much it's leaning into some of that like gore and the violence of it is, yeah, very much leaning into the realms of horror versus when is it more thriller. And that was just kind of like an interesting thought exercise as well, because like we talk about a lot, the expectations of genre really prime us for the experience that we're going to have. And it's been cool to see like, yeah, this is got some horrifying things in it. So that categorization feels correct and accurate and not like overly dramatic for it being like a horror thriller and it's not really that scary, or it's more thriller really, but they're trying to play up it to be more than it is. But there's a lot more in the second episode visually that's gory and horrifying, very violent compared to the first one. And that tonal shift is very notable. So I'm curious to see where we'll go next over the course of the show and those moments to lean into that versus not, and let like that breathe a little bit more too. How they will pace the violence throughout the course of the season will be interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, how did you do with this episode? Because you're not a horror movie person. You're definitely not like a gore person. How, I mean, you clearly survived, but how did
I
you deal with the
survived
gore?
to tell the tale.
Yes, you did.
You know what's so funny is it was not bad at all. Honestly, I could have had a whole lunch while watching this. And I think what it is like the aliens are just so cool, you know? And just getting to see what they can do, I guess taps into a side of my brain where I'm like, oh yes, let's watch again. Maybe it's the caveman side of my brain, and that tempers and tampers the side of my brain that's like, oh my god, the humans are experiencing pain. You know, I'm like, the humans are just unnamed soldiers. We don't know them. We don't care about them. But the aliens got these cool superpowers that I get to see, and that intrigue carried me forth through every action set piece. So yeah, I expected to like cringe a lot more than I did, and I think I was bracing myself for it every single time. But it wasn't that bad, and I think maybe just like the larger than life production design, the kind of like absurdity of it all is helpful too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of there is a lot of absurdity in this, which I think is
Yeah.
it helps it, you know.
Mm.
I I thought when the xenomorph killed all of the rich people in the apartment and we just walk in and it's just like covered in blood,
So
and I was like, that's funny. Like, I probably shouldn't be laughing at this, but it's kind of
yeah.
hilarious. And so I loved those little moments of humor all throughout this as well, where you're watching this horrifying thing happening, but because it's so absurd and so larger than life, it's also kind of funny at the same time, which I don't know what that says about me, but I really enjoyed some of those sequences, just how they were paced and how big they were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That party group, I think, was so interesting to have designed them that way, and to for them to be having this big larger than life costume party. Like there's that felt such like there was such intention behind that visual choice to showcase how, oh, you want to do it big, we're going to show you how you're going to go out with a bang as well, and kind of the pomp and circumstance of those that are in these places of power and kind of getting what they deserve in a big bombastic way as well. There just felt like such commentary on that. And I think especially also because Joe seems to be just that like everyman, like that good guy who's just trying to survive, just trying to do the right thing, looking out for himself, trying to look out for people along the way if he can. But like that contrast of Joe in surrounded by all of these big personalities with a lot of power, with a lot of wealth, and him being the one to have survived it all. There's so much like layered meaning and metaphor in that I thought was really cool. So maybe that's also why, again, going back to what I said earlier, this feels like visual art, because there's so much there, you know, in that one sequence that there was a lot to chew on. So how that fits into the larger storyline, no idea, but that concept, that sequence alone was really fascinating and quite rich.
Yeah, and I love that they were in these like old-timey costumes as well. It's very like Marie Antoinette let them eat cake kind of vibes, and that's exactly like that mirrors what we're seeing from these rich party goers as well. So
Mhm.
I loved that there's so much there too, in addition to it just being really cool to watch. Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
to me, that was one of the more like notable sequences in this episode for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. Uh okay, other big things that happen in this episode, or just choices that this episode makes that we definitely need to talk about.
Well, I want to talk about our guy Moro because
Yes.
he is still, in my mind, the most interesting character that we've met
Mhm.
so far. And I really would prefer to be following him at this point in time
Yeah.
than Wendy, which I feel bad because
No,
the
me too.
actress is doing a fantastic job, but man, the story just isn't quite working for me.
Not
But
at
anyway,
all.
Moro, so cool. Comes in, he blasts the xenomorph. He has that like bag that he wraps it in and is just like dragging the alien around, which is so funny to me. Like he's just so interesting, and he tries to protect the dudes who are trying to arrest him, but they don't listen, of course. And so then bloodbath ensues again. Like I'm so interested in Moro. Obviously he wants to get all the creatures because they are proprietary information, and he wants to get them back to the corporation and all of that. But like, man, I'm so curious what he's going to do next, now that the alien is loose somewhere, because they didn't listen to him. So how is he going to respond to that obstacle
Yeah.
that is now in his way, and how is he going to locate this really impressive and powerful xenomorph as it's just, I don't know, wreaking havoc wherever it goes?
Wherever it goes. Yeah. No, Moro is like top two most interesting characters on the show right now for sure. Second one is to me Boy, which we'll talk about and we'll get to. But I think what's fascinating about Moro is he's very clearly a cyborg and he is beholden to his mission that he has been given and cannot break from that. But the actor does so much with his eyes that you can feel that there's this sense of autonomy and agency and conviction that's just like waiting to burst forth and break out of that mold. There's something else in his eyes that I think communicates so much that make him really fascinating. Versus we've seen other cyborgs portrayed in the Alien universe that are very much like clearly acting the role of being programmed. And we know that Morrow is, but there's something more behind his eyes that I think makes him really fun to watch and create so much intrigue because he's kind of this lone ranger, this like third party that's kind of an agent of chaos amongst the whole system. And what he chooses to do has very high stakes, and we've seen evidence of that so far. So where he chooses to take his story next, I think will be so fun to see, and it will have so many ripple effects and implications. So, uh, I'm waiting to see Moro break free of his mission and do whatever the heck his heart desires. And if it's to like lie down, have a snack, and just chill for a bit, like I'm so excited for this character. It feels like there's so much brimming beneath the surface, and I just hope that they give him a really satisfying arc. Either way, redemptive or evil, I'm here for it. I would love to see either.
Yeah, both would be good. So
Yep.
we're down for whatever they have teed up for Moro,
Yep.
because he's so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. The other character that I mentioned that I thought was really interesting, particularly one conversation that he has, is Boy. Um, One, I think that it's very notable that he and the woman, his kind of assistant, they are having this conversation around the things that they are creating with the synthetics. And they say, which sounds very familiar to us here in the AI modern age, they say, we're exploding human potential. We're not taking away from it. And I was like, oh no, this sounds too familiar. I don't like that, you know? But it's that belief in what they are doing being inherently virtuous, that they are telling themselves and like kind of propagandaing to themselves to justify their actions. Very fascinating. And I think there's obviously very clearly so much meta commentary around this very imminent and honestly like already underway AI revolution that we're having right now. But the I think more interesting thing, honestly, with that character is when he talks about wanting to talk to someone smarter than me. And in our first episode, we were talking about his motivations being really fascinating. And he specifically says in that scene, like, it's not about power, it's not about ego for me. People always think it's about that. It's for him almost this weird, twisted desire for companionship, which is a very generous reading of that for him. But Yeah, it's inherently a relational desire that he wants to fulfill, to feel less alone, to feel like he can engage with another that feels like is on his level, which there's so much ego and all of that. But I loved that writing of his like root desire into that character, and it subverted even some of my expectations or thoughts that I had were that he had around this like larger ideology, which is very much more cult like around like a system and a society that he wants to build. It's actually much more personal and smaller and more micro than that. He just wants a companion, and there's all this other, like corporation stuff that he needs to fulfill. But for him personally, like his innovations are being pushed forward most heavily by his own personal desires. And I thought that was so fascinating. So I loved that bit. I ate that up so much.
Yeah, I thought that that was a really interesting and horrifying conversation, which is just kind of a fascinating balance to strike. Because the other thing that is said in that conversation, Dame Sylvia says, "We ended death," and it's like
Oh
that
my God.
is a big red flag right there. That's some scary stuff to be talking about right there. And then of course he boy goes into his like, be sad for me, the trillionaire who can't have friends. It's just like this guy has the most punchable face I've ever seen. Stop it. But I found that so interesting that he has isolated himself and
Mm,
then is trying, so he created the problem and now he's trying to manufacture the solution, and in doing so has created this massive corporation that he's then like offloading onto everyone. And if we're talking about AI, there's a lot there with how AI and like technological advancements and stuff work today. And so
yeah.
I thought that that conversation was just really, really fascinating. And it's going to be interesting to see where they take Boy next. Because we've gotten some interesting looks at him as a character in these two episodes. And I feel
Mm,
like there's a lot more there beneath the surface. And even the way that he talks with the other leader of the corporation, and she's very professional, she's very put together, everything is like neat and proper and as it should be, and he's just this kid who is just screwing around on FaceTime. And so even that juxtaposition I found really interesting, and I hope that we see more interplay between the two corporations so that we can
mm,
continue to see that contrast because it is so stark.
mm. Yeah, no, that's so true. Like the way that he exists in the world is so different from his environment. And the fact that he's created the problem and yet trying to find a way to mitigate the ripple effects of the things that he's created, which is like the fears that we've always had around technology and innovation of us creating things that we thought were good and then them kind of getting out of hand. Uh, we love, honestly, we as humans love to go to the movies and love to be at our homes on our couches watching human hubris get squashed. Like it's so satisfying to see us find the end of ourselves. And I feel like that moment with Boy 2 is a perfect example of like, oh man, like you have no idea, just barreled forward, thinking that you were doing something great. Yep.
Just wait until you meet this alien, my dude. Uh,
Mhm.
maybe, I mean, the alien's really smart. The xenomorph knows what she's doing. So maybe she is his intellectual equal, and he's going to find
Mhm.
that out the hard way. I don't know. We'll see
Yep.
what happens.
Just boy and the alien having a little chat.
Yeah, why not?
Just in a glass of wine, some
Why
nuts
not?
on the
Yeah,
porch.
play some chess. I don't know. I don't know how Boy is judging
Oh.
people's intellect, but I don't know. I feel like the xenomorph has it going on, so maybe
And I'm
that would
also
be a
just
fun
like,
run in.
what is Boy too? Like,
Yeah.
is he has he been created? They talk about his like insane amount of genius. Everybody seems to, but like, who created him to then create the next person to create the next person? I thought that was um was an interesting thing to see if the show will explore. I also just loved the few things that I loved that he said that I think are quite true and like reflective of our times too, is he talks about information smart, I think is the way that the phrase he calls it, information smart versus wisdom. Uh, because I think Dame Sylvia talks about like, oh, but like aren't blah 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 smart, and he's like, no, but they're information smart, which is different from what he's looking for, which is deeper and more full and more meaningful than that. And I think that's really a fascinating concept and dichotomy to talk about when we say intelligence as a broad term. Uh, the capabilities of AI and the technologies we create are information smart, but then what does that look like when it comes to like our humanity and our creativity and our imagination and how that is part of intelligence too. So I just loved that he waxed poetic for like a hot sec about that. It's so frustrating because it's all just him being like so annoying and bombastic and it's all ego, but he is correct. Or at least I agree with him that there is a difference in these dimensions of intelligence that are not the same. And his ability to articulate them, I thought was really interesting for the show to weave into his character and have us think about the intelligences in our orbit and our tools that are being created and thinking about them a little bit more critically than bucketing them all in like, oh, this thing's really smart, it's really cool, it's very knowledgeable. But is it wise? Is it creative? Is it imaginative? Is it expressive? Those are things that are part of what we say is intelligence too.
I also love the big like blind spot too of like he wants to be someone who's intellectually his equal and he wants somebody to be really really wise and I'm like buddy, are you wise though? Like, so
Yeah.
I love the ego and the blind spots and all of that is coming out in this conversation where he's talking about that root of wanting somebody to be able to connect with, and
Mm-hmm.
it's all revealing um, those parts of himself that he can't see himself, which if he had another person in his life who was able to speak into some of these things he might be more aware of them. So we have like a little like chicken or the egg situation going on, a little circular reasoning. But I don't know, maybe he'll have some self-realization over the course of this show.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Which
Anything can happen.
which then goes back to your idea suggestion of like there seems to be a connection that Wendy has with the alien. Like she can hear and detect the buzzing and their presence before anybody else can, or from far away. And so there's this like insinuation that they are kind of like connected on a different plane beyond what anybody else around them can hear. Um, they're like connecting through the forest as like Kylo and Rey did, you know, like they are two sides of a same coin or something like that. And they seem to insinuate as well that Wendy is made to be eventually on the same level as Boy. So, little dinner party, perhaps, you know, like let's get Alien, let's get Wendy, let's get Boy together for a little chat and a combo, and everyone
Yeah.
can feel seen, heard, and connected to each other. But there's something that's interesting that the show's implying around these like planes of intelligence and sensing and capabilities that uh, all of the creatures and humans all fall within different like planes. I don't know another word to call it, but it kind of feels like that. Like there's things that can be felt by some that are others are completely oblivious to, that they're able to be connected on.
And let's throw Moro into that dinner party too, because that sounds like a great time. We
Oh
would have
yes.
we would have quite a shindig with those four hanging out.
Yeah. That would be I would love an invite to that dinner party. Please,
Right?
you know, you we don't even need to be eating anything. Let's just hang out. Let's chat. Let's
Mhm.
go on a little road trip together.
Yeah, to be a fly on a wall
Yeah.
in that gathering would be excellent. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Okay, other big major things that happened in this episode that we wanted to make sure to mention. I had more
Uh,
bullet.
we learn that Joe
Oh
isn't
yeah, we
happy
never
with
talk
his
about Joe.
job. I know. I remembered we had to talk about Joe in this episode because we didn't talk about him in the last episode,
Yeah.
which says something. But we learn in this episode that he's not happy at his job. He wants out. He wants to go to medical school on Mars, which good for him, getting in, getting a scholarship. Good job, buddy. We're proud of you. And then the evil corporate entity says no. And then, of course, the next day, has to be the next day, he is thrown into this dangerous situation and stolen by an alien. So that sucks for Joe. Poor guy.
Yep.
He can't catch a break at this point in time.
Like, how do you feel about Joe as a character? Like, are you invested? Are you excited to follow him? Are you like, when he's on screen, are you just, okay, here's my like audience stand in to navigate some cool creatures, walk through the zoo with, like thoughts on like how his character has been written so far? I think we get a lot more of him in the second episode, of course. We barely get him much in the first one, but yeah, thoughts about that character introduction.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a lot there yet. I mean, we know that he liked Ice Age as a kid. We know that he wants to go to medical school on Mars. We know that he is a rule follower, cares for people. Like we know a little bit about him, but I don't know. I feel like we're missing something with that character. Like to me, he
Yeah.
does feel almost like an audience stand-in at this point in
Yeah.
time. Because I don't think we know really what like drives him. Even his reunion with Wendy, it was so fast that
It's
like we
weird.
didn't get to like sit in the emotions of that moment. We didn't get to feel his sorrow at the death of his sister. Like I don't know, we just there's not a lot there emotionally, I feel like, to sink my teeth into with that character. So he's just kind of there, which is fine, I guess, especially for going the like spectacle route. So I don't know. We'll see if we develop that character more, especially now that he has been taken. Maybe that'll be some,
Yes.
good time to learn who he is under stress and in danger.
Yep. Yep. He's so vanilla. He's so vanilla. Like, give me some flavor of something, Like, what makes him tick? What does he get excited about? Like, we don't know. We somehow don't know anything about him at all, even though we've spent so much time with him, which is it's like quite impressive. It reminds me of the Netflix film Beckett with John David Washington, where we talked about how like it's actually quite hard to write a character that is such a like cardboard cutout of a protagonist that you don't hate him, you don't love him, you don't really know who he is, but like you're kind of following him. And I kind of feel that way about Joe so far. Maybe they're waiting and teeing up something more interesting for him, but so far, not have not really gotten to know him yet, even after having spent like half of the episode with him, basically. So let's see some Flavor Flav. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if a xenomorph stealing you and taking you to an undisclosed location doesn't bring out an emotion, then we have a real problem.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get some of that spice
Yeah.
coming. I think the most interesting thing that we saw from him this episode was when he was running from the alien. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Joe.
Yeah. We shall see. I guess we'll get to know. We'll finally be introduced to his character maybe in the next. We'll finally meet Joe.
Yeah, we've heard so much about him.
So, yeah, exactly. I think I know that guy. I think I heard of him from someone. One thing that I thought was interesting, which I'm curious if you had questions about too, or if maybe I'm missing something in the alien lore because I haven't seen all of them. The acid blood or the acid spit, there seems to be so many shots of like spit falling on characters, and I keep waiting for their faces to be burned and their skin to be burned, but it is not. So I'm curious. I'm curious if that's like a later evolution or like just like the rules of this universe. Maybe I've gotten mixed up too. But
Yeah, the if I'm remembering correctly, because it's been quite a while since I watched all the Alien films, but it's their blood that's acid, not their spit.
uh,
And so that drooling and dripping is
okay,
used in all of the Alien films,
okay,
basically.
yeah,
So that's just a visual cue that we have seen in all of the other movies, essentially. So
okay.
yeah,
It's
that's
nostalgia.
basically, yeah, that's just part of
Okay,
when you know a xenomorph is about to attack, is there's just this like dripping of
rip.
drool and you're just like, oh no, what's
So
coming?
it's the blood.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
because
blood
I
is the
remember
acid.
there's yes, 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 yes. Okay, cool, 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 cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yes.
Okay. Any other big things before we give out some awards?
A question that I have a question and then I just want to give a shout out.
Okay.
But a question that I had while watching is when Kirsch plugs the ship, he connects the ship to himself.
Yeah.
And I found that to be really interesting to because we don't know, I think, a lot about his background yet,
Mhm.
but this ship is a Yutani ship, and they're at Prodigy. And so wouldn't that be like a Mac Windows thing? Like you need the appropriate hardware to like connect. So I'm curious about like Kirsch's background because he was able to plug into this ship that's from a different corporation. So
Mm,
I just thought that that was notable and interesting. And I don't know, maybe they use like universal, I don't know, hardware, but I found that notable. And
mm,
then I would just like to give a shout out to the film Little Shop of Horrors because every time they showed the little plant
yeah.
thing that was in the
It's so
ship,
cool.
I just wanted to go watch Little Shop of Horrors. I was like, wow, it's Seymour. Like,
Yeah.
let's go do that. That would be great. So I would encourage everybody listening to go watch Little Shop of Horrors. It's great. It'll make your day better.
That visual was so cool. And
Mm-hmm.
I just love the time we got to spend
Yes.
oogling at it with the rest of the crew of just being like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my god. And then it comes out, it like comes to life. We get to see that. Like just this this like spectacle we got to like actually spend enough time. Because sometimes you see something cool and you're like, "Ugh, I want to go back to see that again, you
Mm-hmm.
know? We were rushed along. And I
Yes.
feel like that's that piece they really indulged in. So I'm glad that it also let your mind wander to things you love.
Yes.
Yes.
Always.
Okay, well, let's give out some TVNS awards. So the first category is for most human. What is your choice for this one?
I want to give it to Boy because, man, he was just struggling to find a comfortable way to talk on FaceTime. And that is so relatable.
It's so good. Yeah. Just, I think at one point he's like using his feet to hold
He
it
did.
up.
Yes.
It's
I was
so
like, wow,
great.
that's really creative. And
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it.
That actor's doing a great job, like
He
bringing the
is.
physicality to that role. It's just kind of like this tiny young child, some maturity that we get
Yeah.
to see come to life in all these like little ways. It's so good. But yeah, well done. Great choice. Well played. I'm going to choose the alien for exacting its revenge on everybody trying to shoot it at it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's very human. We love some vengeance. It's very human to have a revenge, uh, you know, plot overtake you. And I felt so proud that it accomplished its goal. It's very satisfying.
I need you to watch Aliens, the second one,
Oh,
because
okay.
that by the end of that movie, I was rooting for the alien. The
Love
alien
it.
in my mind is not like the villain in that, but the alien is just a mom trying to protect her cubs,
Yes.
basically. And so that's kind of the vibes that I was getting from this episode too. I was like, I can't be that mad at the alien because she's trying to protect her eggs, and y'all are out here doing bit foolishness. Dude is shooting at her. Like, what do
Yep.
you expect her to do?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm building a lot of empathy for this xenomorph, which I don't know that that's what I'm supposed to be doing while watching this show, but here we are.
No, they're all so cool, all of
Hmm.
them. I just want to be an alien creature. That's what I
Ooh,
aspire to.
okay. That's fun.
uh, okay, next category is down to earth moment. What is your choice for this one?
I I would like to give a shout out to Siberian because she's one of the security
Okay, I
officers
was like, which one? Yeah.
for making an Agatha Christie reference in
Yes.
the year 2120. And it just warms my heart that
Yep.
100 years from now, they're imagining that Agatha Christie is still relevant. And I love that.
Yeah. That was great. That was really cool. She was awesome. Like
Hmm.
this just like charismatic character that gets to like whoosh onto screen and then very
Yes.
quickly off stage left as well. But that was a great moment. Good choice. Good choice. My choice for this one is when Joe is telling his partner about the fact that there's so many creatures around that they've discovered, and Joe's partner says to him, "Oh, like pets?" And for that line, he got what he deserved.
He did.
It was so endearing. Like, no, not really. Joe's like,
Not
nah,
really.
a little different.
Yeah. Pets from a horror
From your
movie,
worst
maybe.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Most haunting line. What is your choice for this one?
I want to give it to the robot that denied Joe's claim and ends with, "Have a productive day."
That's a good one. That's a really good one. And yeah, that tells you where that entity, that capitalistic entity, stands.
Hello.
Mm-hmm. They do not see you. Uh, okay, I have the one that I'll choose, but I have a really great one from Moro that just
Ooh,
like made
I
me
have
so
a
happy. It was
runner
a great
up
Moro moment.
too. Okay.
Okay, it might be the same one. It's Moro.
Yeah.
This is my runner up. Is Moro so epically standing there with his back turned and says, "Just so you know, I'm the least of your problems." And then chaos roars, and I loved it. He's so
It's so
smug.
good.
He's so smug. I laid it up. My actual choice though
Mhm.
is same guy, the like pets guy.
Mhm.
Uh he's aliens creeping up from behind him, and Joe just goes, "Move."
It's so good.
And he did not listen.
He did not.
So once again, karma's quite something, when you call them a pet.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't
So
follow
funny.
instructions. Like,
Just
that's on you, my guy.
move. Move. The show's got jokes. It's so
It
good.
does. This episode was really funny,
It
which
was really funny.
I did not expect.
No, me neither. All right, looking ahead, what are you excited to see?
I mean, we already talked about I want to see more of the aliens. I want to see
Yeah.
more carnage. Like if we're going the spectacle route, let's go. I'm here for it. I'm strapped in, ready to see some more kills. But the other things that I want to see is more Moro because he is my fave so far. And then the other character that I really loved in this episode was Slightly. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
so
Yeah, so
he was
charming.
such like a breath of fresh air, I felt
Yeah.
like, and they used him sparingly enough that it didn't become too much, but it was just so funny for him to like spill all the secrets and not understand how to like keep anything inside of himself. So I loved seeing those brief moments with him, and I would like to see those again because it brought some levity, it brought some variation throughout the episode. So I would love to see more of him.
He's like the facts of Alien Earth.
Yes, absolutely.
Just glad to see you here. Now please be brief and be gone soon, but
Exactly.
loved will appreciate every second that you're here.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's so good. Uh More of Morrow for sure. Just I don't even care what he does. He doesn't even need to speak. Just have him do stuff, and we'll follow him and see what he gets up to. I want to see him break free of his mission and then see what he does next. I'm itching for it. I'm also just so intrigued by how they're going to write Boy's character. I think out of all of the characters, the way they've introduced and developed and complicated his character every step of the way is really interesting to me. I would love to see him have just like a really interesting backstory and like reveal something even more sinister. Like maybe he's not even a human at all and he's just like a created being. Something neat there would be really cool to see. And then we got a whisper of like uh corporations like fighting each other. So let's fight some more. I want to see more fighting between corporations. I think that'd be really fun. Uh, so it kind of feels like maybe they're starting to get the ball rolling on that, and maybe they'll tee up some more of that next. Honestly, I really just don't care about this Wendy and Joe sister brother relationship. I feel like I'm supposed to care, and I just don't have a soul, and I just don't care. So that's a problem because it seems to be the emotional core of the show. So we'll see how that
Yeah.
goes.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I also don't care about this particular relationship.
Okay, great.
So I think it's because, like we just talked about, Joe is so vanilla. And then for me, the most interesting thing about Wendy is the fact that she is a child in an adult body. And I think that tension would make for some really interesting, like emotional things
Mm,
to have to explore. You
yeah.
know, like how do you adjust to that? How do you as a child operate as an adult in the world? How do you
Mm,
handle that responsibility? How do you handle the challenges that come up from being an adult that you are
mm.
not mentally or emotionally equipped to handle? Like there's so much that you can do with that. And so I think
That's so good.
this particular relationship is like the least interesting, I think, part of Wendy right now. I think if we had seen some of that emotional wrestling between both of the siblings first and understood them a little bit better, understood their pain, their grief, like all of these things for a little bit, and then they were reunited only for him to be ripped away again. That could be really interesting, but it was just, I think it was all too fast. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll make up that ground, but yeah, I am also not super interested in that particular bond as of right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point, actually. I keep forgetting Wendy's a child because she's so competent and she has such conviction and she seems so like cool, calm, and collected all the time that I forget that she's tiny, tiny human, like tiny young girl who is just sick. She's almost embraced this new life a little too fast and a little too easily. And maybe this is the timing where we'll start to get some of that unraveling. Like it's all fun and games and fabulous for a while, and perhaps it'll start to unravel in episode 3. So we'll be here to find out. We'll be here to see. All right. Well, this was our review and discussion of Alien Earth episode 2. You can find it available to stream on Hulu. Thank you for listening to today's episode of TV and Us. Our name sums it up. We're big fans of TV and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories, so everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad you spent time with us today as we now have really continued our journey and where the ball is rolling on the Alien Earth storyline. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune into your favorite shows. Drop us a rating or review letting us know which character is the most interesting to you from the show so far. You can connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at tvnspod or email us at tvnspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on TV and Us and our other podcast, Movies and Us. We'll be back soon. We'll be here for episode 3. We're locked in. We're going to find out what happens next. We're here for some more alien kills. It'll be great. So we hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk again with y'all very soon.